Right, hello, I am back. I'm Cliff from Positech Games. I am Positech Games, especially now. And this is the first video about this, the first developer video about this game, Gratuitous Space Battles. If you are a player of other games I've done, like Production Line and the Democracy games, you'd know I did a load of videos about the making of them, and people quite like that. And I quite enjoyed doing it. But if you have no idea who the hell I am or what this game is, that's fine. So I've been an indie game dev since 1997, which is a long time ago. I worked at Elixir, I worked at Lionhead, but I've been like full-time indie for a very long time before we had a word for it. Before indie dev was a thing, before Unity. Before YouTube. Anyway, whatever. So I've been around a long time, and the first game that I made that was very well known at the time was a game called called Gratuitous Space Battles, and it did very well. It was on Steam when it was really when there were like 30 games on Steam or something. I don't know how many. There were not a lot. And as far as I know, well, I do know, it was the first autobattler game. So autobattler is now a huge genre, but I kind of think I invented it. I mean, I was actually used as precedent in a court case over it, so I'm pretty certain I can make that claim. And it was quite a hard game to market because there were no auto-battlers. So you had to explain to people, yeah, you don't control the ships. You've got no control over the battle. That's the whole thing, right? Anyway, you know what auto-battlers are now. And if you don't, I will explain. It's a game where you set up the units in like an army or something, and you design what they're like and where they go and everything. I'll show you, and then they battle other units, and you have no control. So it's basically like being a general back at headquarters, where you set up all this stuff and go forth and win. And the skill is all in the design of the units, the setting of the orders, the placement of the units, which is a different style of game to like a real-time strategy game. Like an RTS game. RTS games are very clicky, especially StarCraft, stuff like that. So it's a different kind of style. Anyway, I did Gratuitous Space Battles. It did very well. It paid for this house I'm in. Anyway, I then did a bunch of expansion packs for it. I eventually did a sequel, but the sequel didn't do well. There were technical issues with it, and I was massively burnt out and not in the right mood to do it really. Then I did a bunch of other games for like the next 15 years. I did politics game, I did a game about car factories, and I published games. I did loads of stuff, and the last 3 years I've kind of not been really making games full time because weirdly I built a solar farm, as you do, as a hobby. Other people play golf. Most people I know my age play golf. I built a solar farm. Anyway, it's built now. It's great. But I love games, and I always thought that because Gratuitous Space Battles was made so long ago, I'm a much better programmer, and I could do a better job. So I decided to redo it. So this is I'm going to click through these screens because isn't it boring just looking at just like some guy? Anyway, so I've done quite a lot of work on it. I've done a huge amount of work on it, frankly. So it's not about to go into early access. It will go into early access this year, I hope. I have worked on it a lot, and this is not like a video about how to be a successful game developer, because I've got loads of videos about that. But also this is kind of a hobby. So I'm doing loads of things that you would never normally do if you were sane. So for example, some bits of it look a little bit like Gratuitous Space Battles because that's the inspiration. And that's fine, and I made it, so I can do that. I even use some of the textures, not many. 99% of the art is new. Some of the art is AI generated. I'll talk about that later. Sue me. And the only art that is AI generated is through a thing called Scenario, and you can read about like what they train on and everything. It's not. It's all very legit. And in fact, some of it is actually trained on my own art. So what I decided to do for crazy reasons, partly because I've sort of lost the source code to Gratuitous Space Battles, because I'm not very organised on stuff like that, and I keep like making the next thing. So I don't really have like a folder with all the final shipping Gratuitous Space Battles code in, believe it or not. I've got most of it, but I love programming. So I thought I'll just code it again. So it's all coded from scratch. There's some engine code that I've got that I wrote from before, but it's not done in Unity or Unreal or Godot, whatever. It's all coded by me in C++ from scratch, ground up, every line of code. I did again because I thought you'll only really know this if you've worked on really big projects in C++, but there is a tendency to bodge and hack, and you have code that is 10 years old and you sort of think, well, we really need to fix this. So what you do is you fix it and you hack it, but you never sort of think, how would I do this from scratch better? Whereas if you throw everything away and you start again, it's massively better. It takes a lot of effort, but I love effort. So yeah, I did it all again. Anyway, who cares? This is Ridiculous Space Battles. So it is kind of like, the only way I can describe it is a reimagining. That if I was a Hollywood director and pretentious, that's what I'd say. I've reimagined my art. So this is like what I wish I'd been able to make when I made Gratuitous Space Battles. It's going to be better. So there's two like game modes. So there's like this, things may crash and I'll just restart. I'm not going to edit it, right? I mean, it's in development. You know, who cares? So this is the campaign thing, and the idea behind the campaign is like you start with a certain budget and a load of money to build a space fleet. If you win, some ships survive and they go on to fight at the next battle, and you'll get some reinforcements to like beef them up. And if ships from that survive, they go on to fight the next battle, blah 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 blah, until you reach the end and final conquest of the galaxy. There's no plot. I don't care. I'm not Tony Gilroy, the and/or writer, so I'm not going to pretend to be. Who knows why we're fighting in space? The main thing is that we are. Anyway, so that's how the campaign's going to work. So the campaign will encourage you to build a fleet that is a bit of an all-rounder, because it's got to fight various enemies over a course of whatever. And there might be multiple campaigns. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Is that not evident? Anyway, but the bit I haven't done the campaign, so I won't click on anything because it won't do anything, right? But the main bit of the game is like skirmishes. So you pick a battle. There'll be a certain race you're fighting against. In this case, it's all the Ascendancy. Other races are available. Only one other, actually, and your race. So you pick one of these battles and you deploy your fleet, and you'd have a big battle and it'd be fun. There'd be lasers. So the other part of the game, we've also got stuff where you unlock things. So you'll get points from winning stuff, and then you come and unlock this groovy new weapon. Oh yeah, so AI art, right? So all of this is not AI art. I bought stock art and I moved it around and I edited it and did stuff. And all the UI is me, which is why it doesn't look that good. It looks alright, I think. Stuff like this, that's AI generated. Okay, now if you're a pitchforks person about that, okay, fine. But for me personally, I've been an AI programmer since like the 1990s, right? So for AI to suddenly be something that people are upset about, I know generative AI is different, but in fact, I made the first game that was ever made based around a neural network, which is Democracy, like 20 years ago or something. So it's very early experimenting with this sort of stuff. But anyway, so when I say this, AI art in the game, it's this, right? That's it. The modules that make up your ship. So anyway, let's go into the ship designer thing. So here's the ship designer. And you have like hulls for a ship. So this is a ship hull. Let me load a design that I've been fiddling with. There's no click on that. It's on my to-do list. And they're made up of various modules. These are all the things that make up a ship. And basically you play around with these things and think, I don't want those weapons. I want this weapon and blah, blah, blah. And they've all got tons of stats you can click on. It's one of those sort of games where there's a lot of stats. Sometimes friends mock me saying you make really nice animated spreadsheets, and I take that as a huge compliment because yeah, you know, that's what I love, these pulse drone launchers. You know, that's what like Factorio is. That's fine with me. Actually, it's not pulse drones that I like, it's the cruiser drones. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this has been simplified. It's not quite the same as Gratuitous Space Battles. There's no crew and there is no power. I think there might have been one other thing. So basically, because they were boring, okay, they were boring. It was like, oh, do I have enough power to power this? And if I do that, I'll need more crew. And it was kind of annoying. So the only limitation is space. So that's what this kind of empty space down here is, right? So the only limitations are space and cost. So all your modules cost a certain amount, and you design your ship like this, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to save that. You don't have to worry about crew modules. You don't have to worry about power. So it's just a matter of what do you decide to spend and what do you fit in. What I do have that I think I didn't have in GSB is these things. So like these are like little like things that fit in the gaps. So they're really small and they're like modifiers. So you can build like a global range amplifier targeting system thing, you know, to enhance like the range of your weapons, or there are other things that boost the accuracy of your weapons, stuff like that. Anyway, I could do 1,000 videos about this one screen at some point. So I'm basically doing a video to go, hello, I'm doing these again. So I'm not going to bang on about it. So let's look at a battle. Let's look at a big battle because they're cool. But it'll be chaos, but it doesn't matter. So here's the screen where you put down your fleet. I've already put down a fleet to do stuff. So let's get rid of some ships. So if I want to put down these ships, you can look at all their stats there. Oh, I've run out of stuff. Just put another one down. Yeah, so you place these ships and then you can edit what range they engage the enemy at, and say I want them to fire in salvos and only, or prefer to attack cruisers, and I want that order to apply to all the ships of that class. There's a lot of this going on. So what is different here, if you've played Gratuitous Space Battles a lot over the years, if you haven't died of old age, is that this is a grid, right? It's not like just placed vaguely in the deployment zone. This has just got one deployment zone there. You can have more. And that makes it a lot more organised, and I much prefer this. Some GSP players will be like, I prefer to be able to have pixel perfect arrangements of weird setups. But actually this feels more like a movie space battle, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this like what your favourite sci-fi show, when they have a big battle, I want you to be able to feel like I'm in it, or I'm in control of it, you know. Anyway, so I prefer the grid-based setup to all this stuff. There's a bunch of orders. We don't have formation orders and escort orders anymore because they are unnecessary because of the way things work. So the way this stuff works is that every row is kind of its own like battle. So ships don't fly all over the place, they only go forwards. There is no retreat in space, obviously. It's all a bit Klingon. Yeah, so this ship will engage enemies at 4 squares. So it will move forwards until it's within like 4 squares of its opponent. That enemy might move closer, in which case you think, balls. Yeah, there's no going back. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So you will always try and be 4 squares away from the people in front of you. They may have other views, but you won't fly off and attack a ship up here. So this ship will only move forwards. It will fire on whatever ships are within range, depending on the criteria that you have set up. So it's not only going to shoot at these ships, but it will. The whole fleet is kind of remaining in a kind of formation, and the ships behind it can't fly through it unless they're fighters, which you can tell that they can. Like this can raid ahead 4 squares, so it can shoot ahead to attack. So what that means is you have like a series of like mini battles with ships trying to get through each other, and ships will keep going. So if I destroy all of these ships in this row here, that ship will just plough through onwards to attack the enemy homeworld and score me points, and vice versa. So you kind of have gaps where the enemy are, because their ships will just fly through your fleet and score loads of points. You might blow them up on the way. Anyway, I'll go on about this a lot more in other videos. Let's just blow shit up. That's the spirit of the game. Is like, yeah, let's blow everything up. This is really dark. I knew it would change the brightness of this. So just to point out, it's a huge battle. It looks much better on like a 5120 res widescreen monitor, but YouTube, you know. So it's kind of got a similar vibe to Gratuitous Space Battles, but I want it to be more ridiculous. So a lot more going on. There's a lot of new effects in there that weren't in. I love these. I was going to point at them then. If you look here, like there's all these little drones fly off, and they've got one beam laser shot in them. Then they just self-destruct. And they're great because you can fire like big clusters of them. I'm only firing tiny amounts of them here, but they're kind of cool. And yeah, you can click on, see that ship has destroyed the people in front of it and it's moving forwards to victory until it gets within a certain range of this ship. There you go. Yes, you can click on a ship and you can click on the individual turrets and look at like their firing arcs and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of cool. And this here is like you can click on anything here and like jump to where that ship is, and you got a score at the top, you know, like so this is the value of my fleet up there and how much of it still exists. I've still got 71% of my fleet, 77% of the enemy fleet. There's a load of crazy stuff that I want to talk about, which I will do in like later videos, and loads of little effects I'm really pleased with. But basically it's just mad. You can obviously pause it and move around like this, or you can go into like slow-mo, you can go to like super slow-mo, and it's, you know, just like that. Oh, there you go, look, this is a vast cluster of these little things, and they just fire beam lasers, but I love it when they all just show up and surround a ship. For some reason they're all missing that ship. I don't know why. It's probably got some sort of like defences against it. I don't know. I quite like the way the shields shatter. It'll be better, but it's getting there. There's a lot going on, I think. The battles are huge and ridiculous, but they will become much more ridiculous, obviously, because that's the name of the game. Anyway, it looks like this, right? And you know, you win or you lose, and you score points, and you unlock stuff, and everyone's happy. Well, except all the people who die in the cold vacuum of space. But you know, it's probably justified. There were probably tariffs involved or something. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I don't know how long I've been waffling for. Ages. I'll do more technical videos. I'd be interested to know, like, who the hell watches these videos? Like, are you a programmer? Do you want me to explain how I code this? Or do you just want to know why I've included this in the game and why I haven't? Or did you want to... I can talk at great length about all the sci-fi that has inspired me for hours. Deep Space Nine is obviously one of them. Anyway, thank you for watching this. It's not in early access. It's not on sale. It's not in early access yet. but you can wishlist it on Steam, which is apparently massively important and more important than oxygen to indie game developers like me. It is your moral responsibility to go and add this game to your Steam wishlist. Apparently, that was a good one. That's what will happen to your homeworld if you don't wishlist this game. Anyway, thank you for watching, and later videos will be more organised and professional. Maybe they won't.